It's a huge question, isn't it? For so many of us, um, parents trying to figure things out in this AI era,
Uh-huh.
when AI can just pull up facts instantly or, even write stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What skills do our kids really need?
Mm-hmm.
How do we prepare them for a future that feels, well, kind of uncertain and changing so fast?
That anxiety is completely understandable. I mean, for generations, education was often about getting the right answer, right? Acquiring knowledge.
Exactly.
But like you said, AI is getting incredibly good at that, so the whole game is shifting.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that brings us right to this deep dive, actually. We've been looking into a new book that tackles this head on.
Huh.
It's from Discover 21 called Resurgent.
Trishan Jumble.
Yeah.
It translates roughly to something like how to develop why. How? To generate 0 to 1 power through curiosity. The author is Ryoko Komiyama.
Okay, 0 to 1 power. And this is aimed at parents. Specifically, yeah. It's positioned as a practical guide on cultivating the skills that really matter now, focusing on this 0 to 1 power.
And it seems like it's hitting a nerve. You mentioned it's doing well.
Oh, absolutely. The sources say it needed a reprint before it was even released.
Wow.
And it hit #1 on multiple Amazon bestseller lists. We're talking education, elementary ed, preschool kindergarten, child psychology, and lifelong learning.
That's quite a range. It's resonating broadly, not just one niche.
Right. It really shows parents and educators are looking for, well, new ways to think about success beyond the old measures.
Definitely seeking new frameworks.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What exactly is this 0 to 1 power, or the book is all about?
So the book defines it as the ability to spot new challenges,
Okay.
to actively engage with them, and then this is key to create something new, to generate new value.
So not just improving what's already there, but starting something fresh.
Exactly. Initiating something new. Less about optimization, more about creation.
And they link this strongly to entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
They do. The book basically argues that this entrepreneurial spirit is the foundation of 0 to 1 power.
But not just for starting businesses.
No, they're very clear on that. They say it's a fundamental skill for pretty much any job in the age of AI.
Because AI handles the known stuff, the existing answers.
Precisely. And the book contrasts this with, traditional education systems globally. But it does mention specific concerns, maybe in Japan, that often focused heavily on mastering that existing knowledge, finding the one correct answer.
Right.
And the core insight, the book suggests, is that the seed for this 0 to 1 power isn't in textbooks. It's in a child's natural curiosity.
The why and how.
That's it. That innate drive to ask those questions.
So curiosity is the fuel, and 0 to 1 is the engine, maybe.
That's a good way to put it, yeah. That curiosity sparks the exploration that leads to creating something new. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So why is this specific power, this 0 to 1 thing, so vital now, with AI changing everything so quickly?
Well, the sources really hammer this point home. Just having a lot of knowledge isn't enough anymore.
Right, AI has that covered.
Exactly. It can process information way faster than we can. The valuable skills now are the ones AI, well, struggles with.
And the book mentions concerns that traditional schooling, especially maybe in Japan, isn't quite set up to foster this entrepreneurial mindset.
Yes, it touches on that. And it connects this to some broader findings about how prepared young people feel.
Like what?
The sources mention things like OECD analysis pointing to maybe a certain weakness in some areas for Japanese youth. And there's this really striking statistic.
Oh,
Japan apparently has the lowest rate among 6 countries they surveyed of young people saying they have clear dreams for the future.
wow. That's significant. If you're not encouraged to even imagine a future, how do you start creating something new?
It does suggest a possible gap, doesn't it, in fostering that kind of forward-looking, creative thinking. So the book positions this 0 to 1 power as the key to developing what they call the ability to eat well.
Meaning?
It's more than just job security. It's about adaptability, innovation, finding your way, thriving in a world that's constantly changing, volatile.
Building resilience through being creative.
Right. And they use this helpful distinction between deepening knowledge that's efficiently learning what's known, what AI is good at,
Okay.
and exploring knowledge. So that's about finding new questions, experimenting, creating new value.
Exploring versus deepening.
Exactly. And the book argues that while deepening knowledge is still important, of course, the ability to explore is becoming much, much more critical for the future. Both are needed, but the balance is shifting.
Okay, so if this power comes from curiosity and it's so crucial,
Yeah.
how do we actually, build it? The book breaks it down, right, into 5 abilities.
It does. It identifies 5 core abilities that form the foundation of 0 to 1 power. And here's a really important point the book makes.
Yeah.
While schools have a role, these 5 abilities are heavily shaped by the home environment. They're hard to develop just through regular classroom teaching.
Right, this is where it's really practical for listeners, for parents. What are these 5?
Okay, first is the ability to notice.
Notice.
Yeah.
Like pay attention.
Kind of, but deeper. It's about seeing familiar things differently, noticing details others miss. They even talk about radius 5-meter discoveries.
Discoveries within 5 meters, so finding interesting stuff right around you.
Exactly, finding the extraordinary in the everyday. Second is the ability to dialogue.
Talking to people?
Yes, but effectively exchanging ideas, listening, articulating your thoughts, building on what others say. Real collaboration and communication.
Got it. Essential. What's third?
Third is the ability to explore and inquire. This goes right back to the core idea. It's diving deep, driven purely by curiosity.
Following the why and how.
Exactly. Following that question down the rabbit hole because you want to know, not for a test.
Connects right back to the title. Okay, number 4.
Fourth is the ability to act. This is crucial. It's turning those thoughts and explorations into actual steps.
So doing something about it.
Yes. Putting ideas into practice. Working towards a result, even a small one. Thinking isn't enough, you have to do.
Taking the leap. Makes sense. And the last one.
The fifth, and the book really highlights this one, is the ability to fail.
Ooh, the ability to fail. That sounds challenging.
It is, especially in cultures that might be, quite risk-averse or mistake-averse. But this is about seeing failures, setbacks, frustrations, not as dead ends, but as vital learning moments.
Okay.
It's about building resilience, growing because of mistakes, not in spite of them.
Learning from falling down, basically.
Pretty much. So those 5, notice, dialogue, explore, act, and fail. These are the muscles, the book says, for building 0 to 1 power, and the home environment is key.
Okay, so how do parents do this at home? It's not like you can just sign your kid up for 0 to 1 class.
Right, and that's where the book gets into what it calls entree education, entrepreneurship education, but for the home. It gives really concrete, pretty easy examples.
Like what?
Well, things like taking your family camping. They mention a mountain expert challenge camp. And the point isn't just the fun, it's how the inconvenience of being outdoors without all the usual stuff actually builds non-cognitive skills. Problem solving, adaptability,
That's interesting. Framing inconvenience as a positive thing, a learning opportunity.
Yeah. Or they talk about the find what you love exciting trip. It's about reframing family travel, not just seeing sights, but intentionally focusing the trip on helping your child discover their interests, their passions along the way.
Turning a vacation into a journey of self-discovery.
Cool. Exactly. And simpler things too, like inventing original recipes together based on what the child likes. Or setting up a little family flea market, getting the child involved in pricing, selling, learning about money and value firsthand.
So taking everyday stuff and just tweaking it a bit to foster these skills.
Right. And a really big piece of advice that comes through loud and clear is for parents to resist that urge to jump ahead, they call it. Meaning not immediately fixing things for the child when they struggle or shutting down an idea just because it sounds, I don't know, impractical.
Oh, yeah. That's hard. That instinct to just smooth the path.
It really is. The book gives tips on how parents can step back, observe, ask questions, maybe guide, rather than just intervening or giving the answer straight away.
It takes conscious effort, I bet. Trusting the kid can figure it out or learn from not figuring it out.
Absolutely. Trusting the process. And the book also points people towards downloadable resources like lists of entrepreneurship programs around the country or recommended factory tours, things to explore outside the home too.
Okay, so practical tips for home and pointers for outside resources. What about real-world examples? Does the book show this happening already?
It does, yeah. Based on the author's fieldwork, there are some really fascinating case studies of this kind of education in action in Japan.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, there's an example of elementary school kids in Satuchi. They didn't just learn about local oranges, they actually developed and marketed their own Mandarin orange juice.
Wow. Elementary school kids. That's amazing. Talk about ability to act.
Right, or high schoolers presenting full business plans in a program called High School Ring.
Okay.
There's another one, an art university workshop that used, get this, unstable ice cream.
Unstable ice cream. What does that even mean?
I know, but the point was to challenge conventional thinking, right? Force them to
Hmm.
be creative and solve problems with this difficult material.
That definitely sounds like it would force some creative thinking.
For sure. They also mention a design thinking workshop where high schoolers had to create advertising using like totally unrelated things, bananas, and the German language.
Bananas in German. Okay, that's wonderfully random. Forces you to connect unrelated ideas.
Exactly, forces that lateral thinking. And there are real success stories too, like high schoolers in Okinawa who developed a genuinely useful anti-fogging agent using local muzuku seaweed.
From seaweed. That's impressive.
Yeah. And the book also mentions Kanazawa High School, which apparently saw a big jump in kids getting into university through comprehensive selection exams, and they partly credit their focus on these broader 0 to 1 type skills.
So these examples really show it's not just theory, it's happening in different ways, and it's having tangible results.
Definitely. Whether it's a product, a plan, or just building that creative, resilient approach to problems.
Listening to all this, it sounds like the book isn't just telling parents how to teach their kids. It's also kind of a challenge to the parents themselves.
That is a huge message in the book, absolutely. It really stresses that parents need to model this stuff.
Lead by example.
Exactly. Someone reviewing the book put it really well, something like, if you want your kid to study, show them you're studying. If you want them to have the power to live, show them your power to live. If you want them to be happy, show them you're living happily.
Wow. That's powerful. It's
Yeah.
not just about nagging them to do their homework. It's about embodying that curiosity and resilience yourself.
It really is. And it ties back to creating that safe space we talked about, allowing kids the freedom to choose and, crucially, the freedom to fail without being crushed by criticism.
That ability to fail again.
Mm-hmm. Those moments, the book argues, when handled supportively, are fundamental for building real resilience and problem-solving skills. And yeah, it encourages parents to find their own likes, their own interests, and pursue them too. Model that lifelong exploration.
So the parents' own journey of curiosity and maybe their own 0 to 1 thinking is tied up with their kids' development.
Completely. It's presented as a shared journey, really.
We've gone pretty deep into the ideas. Let's talk about the author for a second, Rieko Komiyama. Because her background it seems like she lives this stuff.
Oh, definitely. Reiko Komiyama, she's the director of the Study Sapori Education AI Institute at Recruit.
Yeah.
And she's also a professor at Tokyo Gakugei University.
So right at that intersection of education, tech, AI.
Yes. Huge background in educational technology, ICT education, entrepreneurship education. But what's really fascinating and kind of a perfect example of the ability to act and explore she talks about
Yeah.
is her own incredibly diverse list of qualifications and interests. It's quite something.
I saw that list mentioned. It's pretty wild.
It really is. The sources list her as a camp instructor, holding a first-grade book license, a hunting license,
A hunting license, okay.
an AOW diving license, a domestic class, a motorsports license, she's a certified sake sommelier, has a sushi chef completion certificate,
Wait, sushi chef and hunting?
and meat certification grade 1, and she's an oystermeister.
That is an eclectic mix. Sake, sushi, oysters, hunting, boats, motorsports.
It's an amazing demonstration of just embracing curiosity, right? Pursuing passions across totally different fields, getting hands-on experience. It gives her message real weight because she clearly embodies it herself.
It absolutely does. She's not just theorizing about curiosity, she's living it out loud.
It really shows that developing these abilities isn't necessarily about narrow specialization, but about being open to learning, trying new things, whatever they might be.
Okay, so the book again, full title. Official release date is May 24th, 2025, but there's an online early release, Oisai, on May 23rd.
Got it. Soft cover, 256 pages, and it picked up some impressive endorsements.
Yeah, recommended by Masanobu Takahama, who heads up the Hanamaru Learning Center, and also, really interestingly, by astronaut Naoko Yamazaki.
An astronaut, wow. What did she say? Her endorsement mentioned feeling less anxious and more excited about raising kids for an unpredictable future after reading it. She specifically liked the message about providing that safe environment for kids to follow interests and build that 0 to 1 power, especially through the safety to fail.
An astronaut talking about navigating the unpredictable. That feels very appropriate for this topic.
It really does. Adds a unique perspective. Oh, and there's a special offer mentioned for early
Oh
buyers.
yeah, what's the deal?
If you buy the book by Sunday, June 1st, 2025,
Okay, June 1st.
and then you register your purchase online by Monday, June 2nd, 2025 at 3:00 p.m. Japan Standard Time.
That's specific. 3 p.m. JST on June 2nd.
Right. If you do that, you get access to a special interview video with the author, Rieko Komiyama herself.
Okay, so that's a pretty tight window.
Correct.
By June 1st, register by 3 p.m. JST June 2nd for the bonus video.
Exactly. So if you're interested in hearing directly from the author, you'd need to move fairly quickly on that. The sources say to check the Discover 21 website for the registration details.
Definitely worth checking the publisher's site if you want that extra insight.
Yeah, it could be a great way to hear more about the thinking behind it all.
So bringing this deep dive toward a close, exploring this book, June Sure is over. Ager Rue jerseys his work. It really feels like it's highlighting a crucial pivot we need to make as parents, as educators.
It's a shift away from just prioritizing getting the existing answers, which, again, AI is great at, towards actively cultivating the curiosity underneath. And those specific skills: notice, dialogue, explore, act, fail.
The skills needed to ask new questions and create new solutions.
Exactly. This 0 to 1 power spotting challenges, engaging, creating new value. The book presents it as really the essential capability for, well, for thriving in the world we're heading into.
And it offers those practical, home-based ways to do it,
Yeah.
emphasizing how important the home environment is and how parents leading by example, modeling curiosity, modeling resilience, letting kids try and fail. That's all critical.
It feels less like adding another subject for kids to learn, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. More like cultivating a whole different way of approaching learning and maybe even life itself.
That's exactly the shift it seems to be advocating for, nurturing that innate curiosity into an engine for creativity, adaptability, resilience, facing the unknown.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Well, maybe the question to leave you with is this: if AI can handle the answers, what new kinds of questions might you and the children you care about start asking today?